ready.
What's going on, guys? Yes. So, Mad Men finale. Just watched it a few hours ago. I had to leave in a hurry, so I couldn't record it immediately. Something came up, um, and I felt like it was good to do that as well because there was so much to unpack. When I was actually thinking about it while watching the episode, I was like, this is going to be a long review, and I'm pretty sure you guys are not going to mind if I do it separately. I know in the back of your head you're thinking, oh, he's gonna post the review after February 1st. No, that that was not the plan. Okay, that was not the plan. So I know some people think like that because I know I would think like that. So I know some people who are watching the show on Patreon because I didn't post the review because I usually post my reviews with the final episode of the show. But this time around, I just couldn't do it at the time, and I decided that I was going to do it separately. So here we are, right? I don't know. This might be posted, you know what I'm saying, later today or tomorrow, whenever. But it would definitely be before February 1st. Okay, so you won't be charged again going into the next month for Patreon. So you can get a chance to, if you're planning to cancel your membership after you finish watching this show, you'll get a chance to do that. You don't have to worry about your account being charged. So you get the chance regardless. Okay? So don't hate me because I didn't put, you know. Anyways, let's jump into the review, man. I have been waiting a long time. As I have confirmed, I have been watching Mad Men for a year and a half. Mind you, that's, some weeks, sometimes 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks is the most time has ever passed that I never watched the show over the time. Now, you might be saying, but it's not a lot of episodes. It's 13 episodes for 7 seasons, 14 for the final season. So it's not a lot of episodes. Let's keep it a buck. It's not a lot of episodes, but that's how long I took to watch it, right? A year and a half. Now, could it have been shorter? Absolutely, could have been shorter time. But either way, I enjoyed the show. It was a great show. So let me say that off the bat. It is a great show. Now, as you guys know, that everything that I watch, movies, TV shows, anime, when they're finished, I give them a rating, right? And it's based on 3 things: rewatchability, video audio production, or if you want to say cinematography and score, however you want to categorize, or whatever you want to say about video and audio, right? And also story. Now, story might be a little bit lacking in Mad Men because there wasn't a particular story to follow. This show was about the characters, and I will be talking about the characters. I'm going to expound a little bit more on the characters that I find to be the main characters of the show. None of the side characters like Harry and people like that popped up every once in a while and did joking, or they might be featured for an episode. Those people are in the far back of my mind. You know what I'm saying? If they're there, they're there. You know what I'm saying? There are plenty of episodes that Harry was not in. And if anybody you could call a side character, you could call Harry a side character. So I don't want to dive too deep into anything about him. So I will be concentrating on talking about Don, of course, Betty, Peggy, Joan, Lane, Roger. I don't know. Cooper was, I don't know. I think I would categorize Cooper as a side character as well. I'm not gonna lie. I would probably categorize him as a side character as well, to be honest. So, in any case, what I want to go over here, as I said, those 3 things. I'm gonna treat the story part of it as the characters, right? So, story in the general sense is not really what Mad Men is about. It's no story or, foreshadowing and all this stuff happening in the story to follow. It's characterization, kind of like what you got with like shows like The Sopranos. It's all about the characters and the life that they live. I describe Sopranos as a family that just happens to be a part of the mob. That is how I describe The Sopranos. Now, if you want to contest that and don't think that that's what it's about, then that's cool too. I thought The Sopranos was about the characters, was about this family, The Sopranos, right? That just happens to be a part of the mob. It's not about the mob, right? Because there's very few things about the mob that was brought up at any point in the story. It was about Tony. It was about him and his wife, his son, his daughter. They concentrated more on those and the other people that they related with, Tony's mom, all that good stuff, right? But this is not about The Sopranos, is it? This is not about The Sopranos. So what we're going to do, right? What we are going to do is we're going to start out with the easier ones, right? Of course, rewatchability. So let me get that out of the way because it's going to be a long thing I have when it comes on to the characters. Because you see how many characters I just named that I think that is the main cast of the show, right? So, rewatchability. I would say on the rewatchability scale, I'm going to give this a solid 7. I don't think the Mad Men is something that I would pick up 10, 20 years from now and be like, oh, let me watch Mad Men again. I don't think so. And I'm going to tell you guys why. I've seen enough of what it is. You get what I'm saying? I've seen enough of what it is. Is Mad Men, is it a masterpiece? I don't believe so. So I'm going to say that off the bat. I don't think it's a masterpiece. Like some people praise it. Anybody can choose whatever they want to choose. Anybody can like a show however they want to like it, however they want to rate it. They have that. They can do that, right? It's very subjective. So let me preface this as well by saying that my review for these shows are very subjective. Don't get in your feelings because I'm giving it a rating because of something that I might not like about the show or anything like that. Don't get in your feelings, please. Please, I'm beg of you. It's very subjective. I'm not telling you can't disagree. You can disagree, but don't be a bitch about it. Let's just put it like that. Don't be a bitch about it. I get it. It's your favorite show. Okay? I wouldn't classify Mad Men to be in my top 10. And I have a seriously strong top 10, in my opinion. Right? I don't think it gets into my top 10. If this is in your top 10, cool, but I think you need to watch more TV shows. I think you need to watch TV shows. I can't put Mad Men over The Sopranos. And I also think that Gomorrah, that's being watched on the channel right now, at least by y'all, because I finished it a couple of weeks back, right? I think that Gomorrah is a better show than The Sopranos. And so The Sopranos is considered to be the greatest TV show of all time by so many Americans. And so many people that have seen my reactions told me how good it is. Now, The Sopranos is in my top 10. So, for me to put Mad Men in my top 10, I think it would be disingenuous to my top 10. But it is what it is, right? It is what it is. It's definitely in my top 15 shows of all time. It's in my top 15, just not my top 10. Now, it's up to you to determine if it's going to be 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Who knows where it falls there? I haven't decided yet. But either way, the rewatchability, the reason why I'm giving it a 7 is because this is, unless I'm going to be dissecting these characters down to every inch of them, I just don't have no interest going back and watching it. Now, I'll watch somebody else watch the show. That's why the rewatchability is still pretty high, right? I'll still watch somebody that, like, maybe doing reactions on YouTube or something like that. I may watch them to see what they think about it, or watch other videos about Mad Men that people trying to dissect the characters and stuff like that. But for me, I don't think this is something, it's not high on the list of something that I would pick up 10 years from now, and that's how I judge it, right? 10, 20 years from now, are you going to pick up Mad Men and be like, let me watch this again? Because I think that the minute that I picked this up, I'm gonna be like, I don't want to see Don all this cheating that Don is doing. I know he's doing it, but it's just not that. I'm not into it like that. As I said, I would watch somebody else react to it, like how you guys have watched me react to a show that you like, right? I would do that with somebody. So rewatchability 7, okay, not bad, not bad. Don't don't get your panties in a bunch. Not bad, okay. So cinematography and sound. Now, of course, this show doesn't have any, like, I don't think it has any original OSTs. Maybe the opening is an original OST that I like. I never really showed it or recorded it, but I have listened to the opening multiple times and start to record after, right? So you guys don't have to sit through that 1 minute of the opening. And after a few episodes in, you're not going to listen to it as much anyways. I don't listen to it every time, but every now and then I still listen to it. It's a really good opening. Overall, they use original songs and stuff like that for the OST in the show. So a lot of the songs I like, some of them I didn't know. There were some of them that I know. They even played my wedding song. You know what I'm saying? At my wedding, we didn't pick traditionally, right? We didn't pick traditionally to do the Here Comes the Bride song. We chose a song, and it was the first time I ever saw your face, if I remember the title of the song. But as soon as I heard it, I knew what it was, right? That was the song. So they use songs that were in that era. They're not playing anything like modern, because of course the setting of the show. So they played stuff from that era, right, that you will recognize or you don't recognize. So at the end of the day, that was really what it's all about. There wasn't any specific sound or original soundtracks in the show for me to be like, ooh, that's nice, never heard that before. So everything else, most of the scenes, it was just dialogue, which I absolutely loved, because if you're going to use original soundtracks and you have good ones, you got to make it really good. But as I said, it was about the characters. It was about the dialogue and how these people communicate with each other. So you don't want to overshadow that with a score that's like overpowering, because you're not trying to build anxiety. You're not trying to build anything. You know what I'm saying? This is a regular people having their regular lives, and we're just a fly on the wall watching. So no need, right? There's no need for us to put a whole bunch of original soundtracks in there to try to drive up emotions, because I think the performances were absolutely awesome. The performances in the show was so good, makes me want to go watch The Handmaid's Tale next on Patreon after this, because of Elizabeth Moss's performance in Mad Men. It makes me want to watch, and people has been asking me to watch Handmaid's Tale a long time, even before they suggested Mad Men to me. So I don't know, I think somebody had suggested this on Patreon, that's why we got here. So audio, good. I liked how they handled it. Not that there was much to be done, you get what I'm saying? But cinematography, when it comes on to the settings, oh my god, it really transported me. Even though I was born in the 80s, right, it really transported me to what I believe to be those years, because I've seen pictures of my mom coming up in those eras, and they hit it spot on, which they usually do. Is Hollywood. They know what people used to wear. You know what I'm saying? And as the decades roll by, you see that the fashion changed in the show as well. That was pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? It went from, pointy brassieres to like the regular ones, right? So that was improved over the show. It's weird that I noticed that, but hey, I'm not ashamed. I look at titties. Okay? Kill me in the comment section. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? When Joan is in the room, your boy sometimes I'm focused on the face, but I will tell you, the eyes drift down. I am not ashamed to tell you guys, I'm attracted to some big old biggies. You know what I mean? That is what I'm talking about. But anyways, um, it was great, man. Cinematography, the way how they did it, the costume design, everything was on point for me. Love the men in their suits, did their thing. You know what I'm saying? They really outdo themselves. It comes on to the settings, the office settings as well, the old ass typewriters, like everything that they did put you in the room. You know what I'm saying? So I was very immersed when I was watching the show. Sometimes I felt too relaxed watching some of these episodes. Not that they were boring, they just made me wanna just relax and just listen to these dialogues. You know what I mean? So overall, man, I think the cinematography was great. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. They really brought it to life. I'm going to give that a 10 out of 10. Now, we get into the meat of the matter. The meat of the matter. The characters. Which I am switching up to be the story. Right? The characters of Mad Men. My God. There was a lot. And there's a lot to unpack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to talk about these characters as much as possible. If I don't talk about your favorite character, don't feel left out. They just wasn't that important to me. Okay? It just wasn't that important to me. I'm doing this raw live. I did take some notes and I looked over my notes before I sat here to do this review, right, of what I want to talk about with these characters. And I want to start off with Don. I was thinking about leaving Don for last, but I want to start off with Don because he's probably the one I'm going to talk about the most, right? With Betty with a very close second, right? And then Peggy. Don is the type of person, right? Don is the type of person, I mean, plenty of people has left comments and talk about Don's character, right? Which I clearly see that there is some hate out there for this character, and rightly so. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve the hate that he gets, but one thing I notice when it comes on to Don and when people talk about Don is that they do not say anything good about him. It's like they cannot notice anything good about him. And when I praise Don in my reviews of stuff that he does, right, that's not to say that he didn't do the bad and terrible things. It's just so that there's no balance to be had because he's done more bad than good then, right? And the only thing that I have always praised Don for is his job that he does. Don is the type of person, right, that he seems like he's doing everything right, but he's a very, very lonely guy. He's very lonely. He projects a lot. That's how I evaluate his character. He projects this persona. Look at what he did. He stole a person's identity to get out of the war, right? You can even put the moniker on him of coward. You get what I'm saying? He's a cowardly, lonely man. Everything about him is like almost everything about his character outside of work is a front runner. Everything. The way how, he's a serial cheater, the way how he treats the woman around him, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like one of those things like, he's the type of person that if he respects you, he will treat you well. If he doesn't respect you, you get a whole different side of him, right? He knows when he's in trouble. He's scared of being alone, right? But the thing about it is that because of his nature, it's like he has no control over his entire being. It's like the real person is really Dick. It's not Don. Don is at work, but Dick is at home. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can see the emotional trauma displayed on screen for this character almost every time you see him. Like when he's presenting to clients and stuff like that, he's done all the way. But Dick seems to poke his head out as soon as he leaves work, or he wants to leave work, right? And Don tries to leave the workplace, but Don never, Don, the only person that Don communicates with as the Don that we see at the workplace, right, is what's her name? Oh my God, I'm forgetting her name. The lady that he stole her husband's name is what he stole. I can't remember. Is it Anne? Is it Anne? I'm trying to remember, right? The one that got cancer and died, right? So, and I'm also just realizing, I'm just now putting that together. I am just now putting it together that Don literally lose two people that he loves to cancer, right? Not a big deal. Not the cancer part. I'm just saying it's not a big deal, but I just put that together. Just realized that he lost two people that he loved, right? No matter what you want to say about his relationship with Betty and how he cheated with Betty, he loved that woman. Point blank, period. I don't care how you put it to say, he may not have respected Betty as much as he loved her. And that's why he cheated. But you could also chalk up the situation also to the fact that that's just how he moves. He thought he would never get caught, you know what I'm saying? And all of that plays into his character as well. So if I was supposed to sum up Don, I would not say that I would not say that Don is narcissistic. I know a lot of people will say, oh, he's so narcissistic, all he cares about himself. Don don't really care about himself. Listen, Don doesn't think that the world revolves around him. He does not. He's still the lonely, scared little boy that was living with the prostitutes. He's still that dude. It's like he never grew up. That's why I said that all the work stuff is what takes him. It's like he uses it as an escape from everything. Right? That's what it seemed to me. It seemed like he just used all of that, the name and everything. He was so scared of, you know what I'm saying? And rightly so. I mean, it's a big deal to do what he did, right? As I said, I don't know exactly what it's called if you like stole somebody's I mean, I guess you could call it identity theft, and that's about it. But it's still serious when it comes down to military, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's in the category of stolen valor. It could be. You know what I mean? But in any case, you see how scared he getting panic attacks and stuff like that, thinking that G-men are gonna come get him. Those scenes were so funny. But it's a serious thing that he did, right? It's a serious thing that he did. I don't think it's that big a deal, but it is serious in the context of military, right? In the context of military, it is serious. It's a federal crime he committed. You get what I'm trying to say? It's a federal crime. I don't think it's that big a deal because guess what? The dude's identity that he stole, he's dead and he's taking care of the dude's wife. And the wife knows that this is happening, right? So, no big deal, right? But hey, that's just my opinion on it. So Don is a serial cheater, right? He's a serial cheater. Everybody understands this. Right? Everybody knows this about him, right? I thought that it was going to be different with Megan. Turns out, not the case. He still ended up cheating again, right? He still ended up cheating again, which is never good. It's never good, right? When you're a serial cheater, because all you're going to do is repeat the same cycle. I mean, it got to the point where Sally caught him. And that made things worse because Sally thought the image that she had of her father was up there. Even though she was sassy with her dad a lot of times as well, you can't deny the fact that she preferred to be with Don over being with Betty. You can't deny that, right? So at the end of the day, most of this stuff that I would put on Don, I still got to talk about the positive things that he did. He was excellent at his job. He was a great admin. So I can't take that away from him. And I also noticed that every time, that's all people talk about in the comment section is how bad Don is. How bad is he? You know what I'm saying? How bad he is, right? And I talk about that too, but I try to have a balance, even though it's hard to create a balance for him, right? But I didn't like the fact that so many people, nobody never pointed out any positive thing about Don when there were some positive things about him. He took care of the dude wife that he took his name. He took care of her, whether if it's even if it's out of guilt. He cried when he heard that she died. I personally think that he should have gotten more involved and told her that she was going to die, even though her family didn't want her to know, right? I'm just saying. I personally think he should have got more involved, but he was really hurt. He fight it, but he was like, that's her family and that's their wishes. What am I going to do? Right? So, but he was really hurt. Right? You guys remember when he heard Peggy was in the office, right? And he was a mess. Right? I also noticed that a lot of the big deaths in this show happen on really special nights. On really special night. I think she died. He heard about the death the night of the fight, right? Between Sonny Liston and Muhammad Ali. I think that's the night he got the news. I might be remembering that incorrectly. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Cooper died on the moon landing night. That's the night he died, right? So a lot of them, the major characters, because I consider Anne for she's like an attachment to Don, so she needed to be shown. She needed to be a person in the overall plot of the show when it comes on to Don's life. She needed to be shown, right? So overall, I think that's the night he got the news. I think that was happening that night, if I remember correctly. But I could be wrong. But that could be another theme in the show as well. So Don was pretty hurt. I like to point out the fact as well that Don is a good father, right? Yes, sometimes he acts like a deadbeat. But in my opinion, you have a guy that's that busy. He doesn't have a lot of time for his kids. Yes, he spent a lot of that time with hookers and all this other stuff, right? And he was glad to be a bachelor. You can make that argument as well. I'm not taking that away from him because he did those things. And it's a legit argument. It's a legit argument to make. But I will still say that Don is as I said, he's not a great father, but he's a good one. He provides for his kids. I mean, he wanted to take the kids when he found out that Betty was dying. He wanted to get the kids. Like some people would be like, well, I guess that's what it is. But he was trying to fight. But Betty didn't. He said, Betty was like, you're too busy, right? They'll be better off with my brother and sister-in-law. So that was cool. Either way, I like the fact that he's always ready to do those things, even if Betty doesn't want him to do it. He's always ready to do things for his kids. He loves his kids. So give him some props for something. I could sit here and talk about how much of a cheater Don is all day, and they showcase that so many different times in the show. You would think that that's it. That's all there is to his character, honestly. But I've never seen anybody when Don actually does something that's good. Nobody comes in the comment section and say, man, that was dope what Don did in this episode, man. I love this episode. Nope, never. Soon as he cheats again, I knew. You see how Don is like this and he's like this and his psychology and you. I'm just saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying. You've never said something good about the dude. That's what I'm saying, right? So overall, the character of Don was well done. Shout out to John Hamm, man. I think that's the show he got his fame from, because I did watch him in Top Gun Maverick. I did watch him in Top Gun Maverick. He was really good in the small role that played. I don't know what else he's done, honestly. I know he does Mad Men, but I don't know what else he's done. He probably done some more movies and stuff. I don't know his history, but he's a great actor. He did a great job portraying this character. He fits the role. You know what I'm saying? He ate this role for breakfast. No joke about it. So, that's my characterization of Don. There was no balance to be had. But I still want to give him some props for the good that he does. He did a lot of bad. He was a serial cheater. He was a selfish dude. But I think there were two parts to him. We got work done and out of work done. You know, and he wrestled with a lot, man. Let's keep it a buck. He wrestled with a lot. Regardless of how you feel about him, he wrestled with a lot. He went through a lot. And in those final episodes as well, you can see that he was really trying to find some sort of peace and still getting bad news. And you see that he had a smile at the end, like he finally found some peace at this yoga camp or hippie camp. I don't know where the hell he was that had no electricity. Right? Leave me out of that. Okay? Leave me out of that. So yeah. You can put a lot of different diagnoses on Don, and I mean the character of Don. You can put a lot of diagnoses on him. But at the end of the day, I believe that he was a great character for the show. He was the star of the show, hands down. So, let's talk about Betty. My mouth is getting dry, but I'll get there. I'll get there. As I said, if I don't get to your favorite character today, I want to talk about the rest of them, but I might not. You know what I mean? I might not get to those characters because they're main characters, but they're not worth talking about for 10, 15 minutes. So I might just leave them out. I'm going to make sure I hit these three at least. Don, Peggy, and Betty. I got to hit those three. If I don't get to talk about Joan or Roger or Pete, it is what it is. I might touch on Pete I definitely will touch on Pete, but Joan and Roger might get left out. But here we go. Betty time. Petty Betty. As I nicknamed her. Betty is one of those characters that I've said multiple times throughout the show. Petty, she regresses. She doesn't progress. She regresses a lot. You know, it seems the older she gets, is the more petty she gets, the more childish she gets. And it's weird to watch her a lot of time. In like the final, I want to say three seasons, she didn't get a lot of time to shine, in my opinion. I think the final few seasons, is very few things that happened with Betty, and it was always had to do with either Sally or Henry, right? There's always something going on between those characters and her. It was never her and Don anymore, right? So, I mean, since they got the divorce, the pettiness in her just got to a whole new level, right? So, as I said, man, Betty is the type of person, I don't think, I can't see myself, I've never cheated on any woman before, right? So I can never see myself in that position, ever. Betty was a good homemaker for Don. She did what she thought was right, with her kids, and all of this other stuff. She was raising your children, taking care of the home. My guy, what more do you want to stay loyal to your woman, right? I know the narrative out there these days is, oh, men are only as loyal as their options. And I want to say this to any young man out there, right? Because this is stuff that I discuss on my Discord, on my Twitch streams and stuff like that. You know, every now and then I will discuss stuff like this because a lot of young men watch me. And I'm going to say this on this video. Don't be an idiot, okay? And go and whore yourself out just like all these modern women are doing currently because they think sexual liberation and all this other stuff. Do not take the bait. Do not listen to podcasts and all of these other people that you might see clips of that is telling you, oh yeah, treat women like shit, treat them like bitches and all of this other stuff. Listen, I've said a lot of things during my reactions of Mad Men, of the dynamic between men and women. But one thing you'll never hear me say is that I endorse cheating by men. I have said I understand that we men have the proclivity, the more, right, to go out there and cheat, and it does not mean anything. We're built different. Men and women are built different. Okay? I could go out there and see a pudding on this is a weird example, but I'm gonna say it anyways. I could see a pudding in somebody, or a pie sitting on a window and think it's sexual. I might want to stick my in it. You know what I'm saying? It don't mean nothing to us. It doesn't mean nothing to us. For the majority of women, sex does mean something to them. Right? And we can get in that mode too. We can get in that sacred mode for sex as well when we're loyal to another woman. Now, I'm not saying it's easy to find, young man. It's not. It is not easy to find. But when you do find one that is willing to raise your kids, take care of your home, and you continue to grind and take care of them, there's no need for you to step out, man. Get busy in the bedroom. Try new things. Role play. There's plenty of things to spice up sex. Okay? You don't have to. Don't tell me that you have to because you got a billion sperm. It's such a stupid thing when I hear these things on podcasts where men are telling men, oh, we should be able to cheat, but women can't cheat because they can only carry one baby a year. It takes them 9 months. So they don't have permission to be promiscuous. I don't think that's the way to go. I understand. I do. I do understand the point that these guys are trying to make. Even if we have the urge to go out there and have multiple women, we don't have to do that. We can exercise self-control. We don't have to. Even if we have the options. I do. I have the options. Women has tried to take me off of my girl arm when we go out. And I don't go to clubs. Right? I don't go to clubs. Sophisticated lounges and stuff like that. And women are still approaching. You say your woman right there, they're still approaching you. You can say no and keep your dignity intact and be loyal. You can as well. If she's loyal to you, do that. Don't follow Don's example, man. Don't do that. Right? Just worrying yourself all over the city, and then you think, oh, women are not going to care about it. I don't care if they care. I do. I don't care if women care that I have they're going to want you more. They're going to want you more because you have a lot of women or you've been with a lot of women. I think as a guy, if you have a 5 body count, that's enough. You know what I'm saying? That's enough. I think that's enough experience for you to not having to go out there anymore. Unless the problem is somewhere else in your marriage. Right? But I could never cheat on Betty. If she's the type of person that she is, cheating is not going to be the answer for me. I'd rather just leave. But I'm not going to cheat. You get what I'm saying? So, with that out of the way, Betty is the type of person that um I'm trying to find the correct words here to describe her character, because as I said, she regresses a lot, right? And she not only regresses, she regrets a lot too. I don't think she regretted marrying Don. I don't think she regretted having kids for him. But I do think that she regrets that she didn't pursue a lot of things because she was kind of left out in the wind, you know, of thinking that she's gonna have to divorce him. But she had a backup plan. You know what I'm saying? It's the saying when it comes on to, women. They always got a backup dude. You know what I'm saying? They always got a backup dude. So make sure you're doing what you're doing. I'm just kidding. It's not always the case, but in a lot of times, especially now in modern days, a lot of women, they're not just only talking to you. They may tell you that they are, but they, with nowadays where athletes and all of these bigger celebrities and men with money can just hop into your girl's DM and stuff like that. Not my girl. My girl is not even on social media, right? So I lucked out on that one. I lucked out because if it was some other type of modern woman, you can't tell them to, you know what I'm saying, delete your IG, delete your Facebook, get off of social media, make your profile private. You can't tell them to do that. They're going to look at you as like, you don't want to be with me. I didn't say that. But you know what I mean? But the type of woman that Betty is, man, is just one of those women that you'd be like, you're doing everything to make her happy. And she probably still have things to complain about. That's your wife. And that's women. In my opinion, I think women get bored really easily. So they seem to have to keep their mind occupied other than the craziness that's already going on up there. You know what I'm saying? Men, a lot of times women can't understand how a man wants to be. We want to be peaceful. I love my peace. I love to be able to not think about anything. Okay? Okay? I love to not be able to think about anything. Sometimes. It doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes I'll just sit down and my mind wanders, and the wandering is absolutely nothing. Just relaxation. Meditation, if you will. Right? I love those moments because you don't get them a lot. Right? So, the things that are going on, Betty, I really did feel, sorry for her in the end, because as I explained in the videos, that I lost so many people to cancer. That's not something that, even with her pettiness, I'm gonna wish on her, right? That and say that she deserves. Like, I would be the most diabolical person ever to say that because of what Betty went through and the things that she did and how petty she is and how ungrateful she is and all of these other different stuff about her character, that I would sit here and say she deserves to get cancer. Nobody deserves that shit. Okay? Nobody deserves that. So, in any case, Betty characterization from going from Don to Henry was a good transition for her, but I don't think in a million years she loved Henry as much as she loved Don. I don't think she did. And I think Don really did a number on her as well. There were a lot of things that during those first couple of seasons that I disagreed of how she approached certain things. And I think she could have approached them a lot better. She still don't know for sure that Don cheated on her. You guys know that, right? She still doesn't know for sure, right? The thing that really pushed her over the edge to kind of get the divorce, because I think if she never found out that Don had a different identity, I don't think they would have gotten divorced. I don't think so. I think that was the thing that compounded on what she already suspected. Was like, I don't even know who you are. I don't know who I married, right? And that's what really ended it, because Don was trying to fix things. She wasn't having it, right? So they got divorced. So the things about Betty's character that I love is the fact that she was a good mother. Not all the time. Not all the time. There's certain things that she did with Sally that I was just like, Betty, what are you doing? That don't even make no sense. A lot of times, you know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong. some of the stuff that she did with Sally was very wrong. I think at one point she slapped Sally in the face, right? Like, I think at one point she did slap her in the face. I think, I don't remember exactly. Um, she just, it's not it's not like she didn't love Sally. She just didn't like the misbehaving, the talking back to, all of these different things. Um, that came from Sally, because Sally been sassy. I think she just didn't like. So as a parent, you know what I'm saying, I'm still gonna give her, she's better than Dawn as a parent, in my opinion. She is better than Dawn, but she's a little bit, she goes over the top a little bit sometimes. Um, you know, but sometimes even when the situation doesn't even warrant her to be a certain way towards Sally, she does. So it's like, it's just kind of a weird dynamic between the two, because the boys doesn't get none of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Sally is daddy's little girl, and Betty don't like it. I'm just kidding. So yeah, man, Petty was a great character for the show overall, man. I don't want to harp on that too much, but the way how I evaluate our characters, what I said in the beginning, man, it's just a character that just continuously regresses and have regrets, right? The whole situation, I don't want to talk too much about the situation with Glenn, because people disagree with me vehemently about what I said about her when I was like, because people was like, oh, she's just child. No, a lot of pedophiles can say the same thing. They don't get away with it. Okay? They don't get away with it. What she did when she cut her hair off and gave it to Glenn, that was out of pocket. You don't do that. Then you sit down holding this little boy's hand when you know that he's obviously attracted to you. Why do stuff like that? You're not a child. You're an adult. You don't do stuff like that. Right? You just don't do stuff like that. So she was wrong. I don't care what y'all say. I don't care what y'all say. She was wrong. Entirely wrong for doing that. All right. So let's talk about Peggy. Peggy is possibly, if not my favorite character in the show. I know I'm talking about her third, but if she's not my favorite character in the show, I don't know. It's gotta be her. When I'm thinking about it, it's gotta be her, right? It's gotta be Peggy, man. Peggy is the quintessential person that I would see and just be like, just off the bat, be my wife. That she's just that type of person. Because it's not just about her looking pretty. It's not just about that. Her character dictates, right, to me. It's a very attractive trait to me when I see women that knows what they want, they go after it, right? They're not afraid to have a conversation with you, right? Because I know a lot of you might be thinking, because of what I've said about Peggy in this, where I was like, listen, when she's giving off that masculine energy, it's not for me. But that's like 1% of Peggy. She has learned to not exude so much. I think she was getting in over her head a lot of times when it comes on to, I remember the first time that I see some of that masculinity coming out, and I was like, she feels like she needs to do this, right? She feels like she needs to do this to prove something to the boys or belong because she got the promotion and stuff like that. And I was like, you can't approach it like that. You still have to remain feminine. You'll get a lot more respect if you remain feminine in the workplace. Now, back then it's a little bit different. It's not the same as it is today, right? Obviously, right? But when it comes on to people like Joan, see what happens with Joan. She played her cards right. Now she owned a percentage of the company, though it ended up getting sold and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, she played her cards right. I didn't like how she got the stake, but she did what she had to do. I wouldn't have agreed for her. And that's another thing that Dawn did as well, that you could call a good deed. Now, I'm kind of like picking these out of the sky, it seems. But at the end of the day, it's still something that I can say good about Dawn. Dawn was not on board for that, just like me. I was like, why did you guys even bring this up to her? But it was brought up to her. She agreed to do it. I can't tell her what to do. She did it. She went and slept with that dude to get a stake in the company and for them to get Jaguar. Right? That's what she did. So I can't sit here and say, oh, whatever. She did that. Right? So Peggy is just one of those characters, man, that you guys saw the whole time. I think, in my opinion, and I've said this before, that Don and Peggy would have been a good couple because they're both driven at work. And I think Peggy wanted it, but Don never saw her like that. And I know a lot of people will say that Peggy and Don have more of a role model student or a father-daughter relationship. I was like, what show are they watching? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, what show are these people watching? Because they're not watching the same show. Y'all remember what episode it was at the end of like season 4 when she came back in the office and they were looking over the stuff on the table and she grabbed his hand, and I was like, okay, it seems like we're going into the direction that I wanted to go. Their relationship is getting better. That was Peggy trying to get on Don's radar if she wasn't already. And she thought she was because she took care of him the night before. Right? She took care of him because he was drunk, he was crying the same night when he got the news that, old girl died. So I thought that this was going to bring a different bond to them. Every time that Peggy and Don had a true hands down argument or something like that, it just felt like it really just felt like they loved each other. Like the argument wasn't coming from a bad place. You know what I mean? It just felt like when Peggy left, it broke my heart to see her leave. I thought she wasn't going to be in the show anymore. Right? When she left SCMP and was like, and she's going to freaking, well, what the hell the name of that place with with this idiot, right? With Ted Shaw, right? I can't even explain how much I love the character of Peggy. The progression, the promotion she fought for, that scene where when she was leaving, man, really broke my heart, to where she was looking at Don and she's like, I think she wanted Don to like beg her to stay or something like that, or she wanted a different kind of confession from him, and I was hoping for that too. I was hoping he would say, listen, I don't want you to leave. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to leave. I'm not going to see you every day or whatever. But at that time, he was married to Megan. So I don't, you know what I'm saying? But I was thinking that there was some sort of confession coming here. But all it turns out to be is just a very sad goodbye. You know what I mean? It was just a very sad goodbye, man. And cool. They teased us a lot about that relationship and it never happened. So either way, she fell in love with Stan. Stan fell in love with her. So cool beans. Whatever. She ended up where I wanted her to end up, with somebody. I didn't want this show to end and she wasn't with somebody, because it was one of the biggest thing that she wanted throughout the entire show. Forget about the job. She wanted stuff for her life. She wanted to grow big in advertising. She wanted to own her own company. She wanted all of these things. But the one thing that she prioritized, she may not have vocalized it, but it was so obvious that she wanted a husband. She wanted a husband. I don't care what none of y'all say. If y'all didn't see that, maybe I'm reading too much between the lines, but I think that was one of the biggest priorities. Every time that she sees something that somebody's doing, like when Dawn is doing stuff for Megan or something goes wrong, she goes into Joan's office complaining and drinking and smoking, something that you really don't see her do that much. You get what I'm saying? So she's stressed about it. She's like, why doesn't anybody see me? I think one of the times she actually said that to Joan. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, Peggy is just one of those ladies that I would snatch her up in a heartbeat if we both single. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of person that she was for me in the show. Even better than the eye candy of Joan, because that's all really Joan is to me. I would never marry somebody like Joan. I would never marry Joan. It's all about the looks. I love me some redhead, so I'm not going to deny the fact that I'm attracted to her because she's a redhead, right? I'm not going to deny that. But overall, I would never marry Joan. I would never. So just give me some of that, you know what I mean? And I'll be on my way. You know what I mean? So Peggy, man, great character. Loved her. I would describe Peggy not only as my favorite character in the show, but also just the overall progression of how you want a lady to be. You get what I'm saying? She knows when to be vulnerable. She's not acting tough and in the workplace. She learned how to be feminine in the workplace and still get respect. That's important. She learned how to do that. She learned how to hang with the big boys, even though Don still kind of like treats her a certain way sometimes. But that's because, you know what I'm saying, a lot of things that Don said to her was the truth. He never hid the truth. You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't salty when she left. He was still trying to keep her as like, what's the number to keep you? You know what I'm saying? And she's like, it's not about the number. You know what I'm saying? I just need to get out of this place. Right? And I think in that space, as I said, I think she wanted Don to be like, I love you. Don't leave. You know, over these past few years, I didn't really like Megan. You were the one for me. And I mean, Peggy has been down with married men before, so I would have loved if that was the love story to come to the end, but to no avail, you know. So here we are, just chilling and just accepting her and Stan. Stan got somebody, Peggy got somebody. I'm not in agreement to the pairing, but it is what it is. I never shop those two together, but I get it. They've built a long-term relationship. They work together, and I don't think it was a perfect pairing, but cool beans. I just wanted to know that she was with somebody that was great. And Stan is pretty good. You know what I'm saying? He's pretty great as well. You know, so cool. You know what I mean? He's been trying to get with her for a long time, you know, but he never really outwardly expressed his feelings for her. I think from the night they were in the hotel together and they stripped down, I think from that night, you know, they had a certain attraction to each other. So, hey, it is what it is. So yeah, man, those three characters, I don't think I'm going to go any further. I think I've touched on the three best characters in the show. And this review is going for an hour now. For almost an hour. So I want to wrap things up. And this is what I'm saying. I plan to do a 1 hour video. I was like, wherever I get to, when I get to that 1 hour, I'm going to cut it off. So, but I need to make sure that I get those three characters and talk about those three characters. Maybe I'll make another video talking about the rest of the characters that I think are a part of the main cast. But don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. Just understand that Mad Men has cleared the threshold and has gotten a 9 out of 10 from Terabyt Reacts. Okay? It is a 9 out of 10, and that's just because the rewatchability got a 7, but the other two got a 10 out of 10. I think the characters were great, and I believe the cinematography and the songs that they used throughout the series was really well done. Those both get a 10 out of 10. So 9 out of 10 general score for the entire series. I think that is very, very good. It's a show that's going to be my top 15 of all times for me. It's very subjective, my list. So don't get your panties in a bunch because I didn't put it in my top 10 or my top 5. I don't think Mad Men is a top 10 TV show of all time. I've watched too many good ones. And I think there's too many that does it better. You know what I'm saying? I think when you're talking about peeking into the lives of people and just characterization as a story in shows like this, Mad Men, I still think that Sopranos did it better than Mad Men. I think Gamora did it better than and Gamora is more story driven. It's not really character. It's character and story driven. There is a story to follow in Gamora about the characters. You get what I'm saying? It's not just random stuff happening every day. Every day, it's like the episode ends here. We pick up next time with where the story left off about what these characters are doing. Right? So there's a huge difference. I still think it's a better show than The Sopranos because a lot of people, because they're kind of like in the same genre of dealing with the mob and stuff like that. But I just think that Gamora just structured things a lot better. Soprano is a great show, man. It's great. So it's hard to say that something is better than it that kind of like could be compared to it. It's kind of like really good. But in any case, when it comes on to Mad Men, I don't think it's up there. And I am going to at some point post my top 10. I've done it multiple times on other TV shows that I've ended with. People always ask me, talk about your top 10 so much and how great it is, just post it. And I usually do post it, but I'll get around to it and I'll put it in the comment section under this video at some point if I remember. So in any case, guys, this was great. I think I did a excellent job with the review on what I really wanted to talk about when it comes on to Mad Men and the characters and what this show meant for me. I learned a lot from watching Mad Men and how people operate. I know people that's like Don. I know people that's like Betty. I know people that's like Peggy. I know these characters in real life. You know what I'm saying? I know business people that are like Don in the business place, right? That are just knocking it out of the park. People that are doing crazy numbers in their job, whether it's in advertising, whether it's in marketing. You know, that line of work, man, there's money in it. If it's not something you're interested in, look it up. There's plenty of videos on YouTube that you can watch as well to get into marketing and advertising and all these different things that people are living with. I will tell you this. I'll give you a little nugget if you're listening to me. Copywriting. Okay? Copywriting. Very lucrative. If you do it right, there's plenty of free courses on YouTube of people teaching you how to do copywriting. It's a really good startup when it comes on to overall marketing into internet marketing. Okay? To learn how to copyright. Okay? Do that shit. Okay? It's really good. Okay? So if you're looking for a job or you're trying to get into something, you're trying to get into internet space of, advertising or whatever, it's kind of like what copyright is. It's essentially you're just writing ads for people, just like what Peggy's doing in this show. It's just digitally you do it now, right? So not really a nugget, but you get my meaning. Anyways, guys, this has been great. Mad Men, awesome show. 9 out of 10 once again. Don't come at me in the comment section for 1 point missing. Okay? I know how people can get. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys once again for coming on this journey with me, for sticking with this show for however long you stuck with it, and you commented, you left a like on the video. I appreciate you guys profusely. I love you guys, okay? Thank you guys so much, because we know we average probably about 150 views on all of these videos. Some of them went above that, but I think the average was around 150 views. For all you guys that clicked on every single episode, I appreciate you. It's all love from Terabyt Reacts, okay? I'll see you guys for the next one. I will announce what's coming up next, so look out for that. I will see you guys next time. Terabyt out. Hey!